Mate, I've never thought about it though.
What do you mean?
The Godfather, where it comes from.
He's right there, right next to you.
Thank you, mate. He's yelled at me enough over the course of my career. Where did the nickname originate from?
I'm not too sure, to be honest. You might have to ask someone like Ben Sigmund or something. But probably odds are.
I'm pretty sure it came
a little bit
from,
to do with my haircut.
No, it definitely wasn't that. It was because he was he was in the All Whites for so long, and he was getting to be such an old bugger that he just became the Godfather because he was such a legend. All right.
Yeah. Are you the godfather of any All Whites players?
Just about. No, I think Siggy's right. Yeah, I managed to stay in the team for a long time, Siggy. So yeah, probably a few of them could have been kids or something. But yeah. Just by age,
Do you like the movie? Or
Top
movies?
Can't get better.
Yeah. And so have you styled yourself on the people that you see in those movies then?
Not really, no. I never really say the words, don't go against the family.
It's implied. It's implied. I love it how as well the hair's got progressively shorter. Yeah, and now very, very trim. Is that Marissa's influence?
I don't know, but I'm not sure how short Siggy's is. What's yours like now, Siggy? You got a good... Oh, yeah, you're pretty good still, yeah.
I'm losing quite a lot.
It's funny, your nickname is quite inventive, but when it comes to Jacob Spoonley, Ben Sigmund, Siggy, Spoon, it's pretty lame, eh? We're pretty useless when it comes to handing out nicknames, eh, Siggy?
Yeah, it's quite funny because my boy obviously always asks why you called Siggy, so I told him, and I was like, "You'll be Siggy," and he's like, "Nah, I won't be." I'm like, my dad's Siggy, I'm Siggy, and he's like, "No, I'm not Siggy. I don't want to be Siggy." I'm like, "All right, then, don't be a Siggy."
And you can't pick your nickname, right? No. It's something that's bestowed upon you, so you can't tell people, "Hey, look, don't call me Siggy," because then they're just going to push it harder.
Bang.
Yeah. So anyway, I just left it.
So is he playing? Is he playing football, Siggy?
He's just started. So he's 14, going on 15, and literally just decided he wanted to play it. So I am literally starting from the scratch with him at 14. And as everyone knows as footballers, it's when you've missed sort of 7 to 10 years of the basic fundamental skills, it's quite hard starting at a late age. But I'm hanging in there, and just, he actually does love it, and that's, as for me growing up, I didn't want to be that parent that sort of pushed him too hard into it just because I did it, and it's been cool let him sort of take it on, and he absolutely is an A-League fiend, massive fan of, sits up, watches all the games, and he's actually turned me into a fan as well, which has actually been quite fun, and we're coming up for the Auckland Phoenix derby in late Feb there, and it's quite cool to do it with him, knowing that he absolutely loves it.
A long time ago, myself and Siggy, as kids, we actually shared a field. I don't know if you know this, Ben, but long time ago, I think it was an under-16 national
14,
tournament.
15?
Did you must have played the tournament at St Bede's College in Christchurch?
Yes.
Yeah. So I was playing for Auckland. He was playing for Canterbury, and his reputation preceded him. We were shit scared because we were coming up against you. And was there a guy up front called Blair Scanlon?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, and we were like, we're packing ourselves because in those days, because I think it was under 16s, a lot of the best Auckland players had chosen to play for their schools, and our Auckland representative team was absolutely pass. It's probably why I was in there.
The way you were playing, yeah.
And yeah, that's right. I was central defence, and he was central defence for Canterbury, and we got owned, man. Everyone was just packing themselves in the sheds before the game. How are we going to get past Ben Sigmund? How are we going to do it? And we never did. We lost 5-0.
They were great those years. I really miss them. I keep saying to a lot of people, playing for your province was just awesome. And now, it's more club-based, and, you don't get that opportunity to sort of represent your hometown, I suppose. I thought those years were probably my favourite years.
I think at the same tournament, Siggy, Leo Bertos was playing for Wellington.
Yep.
Yeah. I had to mark Leo Bertos.
How'd that go? You already lost 5-0 against Canterbury.
Yeah, I was faster in those days, so I could kind of foot it with him, but yeah, it was very, very technically gifted and, gave us a torrid time as well, but not as bad as what Canterbury gave us.
Yeah, speaking of torrid times, one question that often gets asked of me when I'm having a chat to some fans is, how would the current generation go up against the team from 2010 or even the team from 1982? And I think that's a much more theoretical discussion, but I'm really intrigued because I feel like we're often promoting this generation as having the depth and the technical ability. They're wonderful on the world stage at club level, but one of the conversations that I love is contrasting that with the determination and the just the raw kind of competitiveness that you guys had when you qualified for the World Cup, mate. So have you often thought, how would I go up against these guys, or would I fit into their team, or would they fit into mine?
Ivan, I think you're a bit better ball player, mate, so I reckon you should answer that.
From what I understood, Jacob was sort of trying to paint the picture that we weren't technically that good. So
Yeah, he's really
said it
done
in a
you
good
there.
way.
I'm
I
sitting
think.
way too close
Said
to
it
him
in a
now,
good way.
Siggy.
Yeah, look, it's hard to compare generations. I just love and enjoy watching the game now, and the players that are coming through in the team are incredible. I mean, just recently, watching Chris Woods get a hat-trick in the Premier League again is, it's an incredible thing for a Kiwi to be doing that. But, across the whole squad, we've got a lot of quality now. As you mentioned, technically good, and top teams all around the world. So, look, it's very hard to compare. I know we had a great squad back in 2010. Right through the whole squad, 23 players were top, and we come together on an incredible ride through the qualifying process, and that everyone knows about. But without that sort of, I don't know, the culture back then was top level to me, and always enjoyed being in there with the team and coming back for the games, for the qualifiers and that, and I think that gave us that little bit of extra that really got us through in the big games.
Siggy, the culture's often talked about, and there's so many highlights about 2009, 2010, the journey and then getting there. What was special about the culture for your generation?
For me, it was every player was dedicated to come back and play. So I think about Chris Killen. I probably didn't miss a game coming back. I know Chris Wood was coming in back then, but he was always committed to come back. There wasn't a player that, they wanted to be back there. It wasn't like, I might rest and then I'll come back for the next one or an important one. And so there was this thing around coming back and wanting to be part of this team and playing for New Zealand. And then that just piggybacked, leading in. And I always remember Tim Brown. He started sort of getting in everyone's ear and saying, hey, I reckon we can go to the World Cup. And then all of a sudden, everyone just started going, I reckon we can go. And then from that, we all kind of started believing and just working towards going. And then all of a sudden, we were 1 or 2 games away from going. And before you know it, we've qualified. So, I know there was a bit of luck maybe, but in saying that, I think what got us through was that group and that camaraderie and the commitment we gave to the shirt in the end, to be honest.
On the subject of getting to the World Cup, we spoke to Michael Boxall last week, and I think it was you, Spoonley. You asked him about what would it mean to win through in these March qualifiers, and he was quite blunt and brutal in his assessment. This is what he said.
Very little, I think. I think because we're expected to. I think to do it in those playoff games against Peru or Costa Rica would have meant a lot more, because you're really having to upset someone and do something that's unexpected. And I think this time around, it's something monumentally disastrous has to happen for us to not get there. I think it's less about getting there. I think it's this 2026, it'll be more about what we do achieve when we get there.
So, Ivan, OFC direct entry, it's awesome, and the expansion of the World Cup means you've got more teams, and obviously the All Whites are pretty much a shoo-in to get there. But what if we lost by not having that intercontinental playoff against a big nation like a Peru or a Costa Rica?
Yeah, we've
Or a
lost,
Bahrain, yeah.
or a Bahrain. Yeah, we've lost those special nights that everyone in the country remembers where they were at that time. We've missed a night where you don't go to sleep for 24 hours. Well, not just the players, but the whole country. So, yeah, look, I mean, there's benefits to the 48-team World Cup. Obviously, direct entry for Oceania is great, 1.5 spots. So it gives another opportunity for a Oceania team to perform well and potentially have that night of their own. We may not have it in New Zealand, but the benefits are getting to the World Cup and playing on the world stage. So, there is definitely two sides to it.
Yeah, 09 was amazing, Siggy, because like me and three of my mates, we actually took the time to drive. We did the big drive from Auckland down to Wellington to watch you guys play against Bahrain, and man, it honestly just like gripped the nation like I've never seen happen in football before. What was it like for you players to see that sort of the groundswell of support and Sky Stadium, what was it called back in the day? Doesn't matter. Just a sea of white.
Well, for me, it was there was so much going on beforehand, and I remember walking down the waterfront, and there was just all white shirts everywhere. We'd worked very, very hard to try and get it in Wellington. It was meant to be in Auckland at North Harbour Stadium, so it was a really big thing, just even having it in Wellington and then selling it out, and then that surge of white, was just massive. And we also were so desperate for it to be a real shit day in Wellington. Like, we wanted it to be absolutely awful. And I remember opening up the curtains, and like the flagpole was bloody on its side, and everything was flapping in the wind, and it was almost like we dreamt of that day.
Yeah.
And then even like walking out down the, just before going out and kicking off, and you probably remember, Ivan, where they all had beanies on, gloves, and they were shivering, and it was just like, this is played out exactly how we wanted it to. It was 0 all over in Bahrain away, so it was just set up for what we wanted back in Wellington.
They've got their beanies on, they've got the jackets on, the gloves on. What do you take from that? Because there's moments where it's like serendipitous. You kind of feel like Siggy said, you're on this train heading towards this result. Was that one of those moments that was like affirming that it's going to be a good night?
Well, I think it all adds up. As Siggy said, we'd sort of prayed and everyone had hoped that the conditions are probably going to go our way. I think they had a problem with their plane at the airport or something, or things were going on.
One of the engineers with a wrench or something.
Yeah, New Zealand.
Something wasn't quite going right. So all those little things sort of just add up, and then you get into game mode, and it probably gives you that 1% slipping into game mode a little bit easier. And then, but once you get out there, walking out there with that crowd, I don't think I've ever seen it in New Zealand ever. It was incredible, and that gave us that lift as well. And obviously the game now, when you look back, those moments in the game that changed it, it's for that sporting history, which is great. And to be there and to do that, as Siggy said, was awesome. Yeah,
I love talking about those moments because they're what kind of binds everyone together, Siggy. So I think there's, in my mind, 3 key moments. There's the goal, Roy crashing it into the back of the net. There's, kind of 2 moments, Lockie kicking someone and then Pasty saving it, which is, redemption. But the one key thing for me is when I walk down onto the field with 10 minutes to go, I tell people this time and again, you could see the noise. Like the crowd had just suddenly bought in, and it was like this wave was crashing in on the stadium. I don't know how you guys survived that moment and that emotion, but witnessing it from pitch side and looking up at the scale of things, it was like, I've never seen this before. I've never seen it in anything to do with New Zealand sport. This is, only football can produce this. That's what it felt like, mate.
Well, I think we're all in the zone so much that, there was a lot of noise, there was a lot going on. We knew it was there, but I don't really remember it, like it was just, all I knew was that I just had to do my job, and, we were just needed to defend well and work hard, all those things that you do in a game, and everything that was going on outside it. I have to say I was pretty blind to it all. I do remember probably when I started to really realise how much of this crowd was into it and what it meant was obviously the final whistle, but then we jumped in the bus and started going back to our hotel, and we went down Courtenay Place, and we literally, our people were running out from the bars, shaking the bus. There was people everywhere. It probably took us about an hour to get down Courtenay Place with all the amount of people and fans, and I just loved watching all the faces come out that you saw over your career and through the years, playing National League, playing club level. To see all those faces, it really was special to me to know that they were all part of it with you.
Let's talk about some other key moments in the All Whites jersey. You obviously qualify for the World Cup. You go to South Africa 2010. And for you, Ivan Vicelich, this moment here versus Italy and what could have been a life-changing moment for you.
New Zealand with lots of defending to do in the second half, but they did have one strike on Marchetti's goal.
Oh, so that incredible strike. Tell us about, first of all, the moment when the ball's bouncing ever so kindly out to you and you think, wow, I've got to put my foot through this. And then after the game thinking, well, what might have been had that nestled in the back of the net and the offers that could have come rolling in from Europe. You may have gone straight from South Africa to Europe. Send for my things in New Zealand, please.
Yeah, I don't think I would have left Auckland City, but... No, look, it was... just watching it again now, I've lost a lot of sleep over the years.
Have you?
Yeah?
Thinking about what could have been, yeah.
Do you think it's in off your boot?
Oh, I think it was a great save. Did he touch it?
He may have touched it. May have just gone wide also. Yeah.
Look, what a special moment. Just to be there was great, and it just popped out of, I think, a defensive header. So, you take the shot and you hope it goes in. So it would have been a beauty if it had gone in, because I think at the time might have been 1-1.
Yes.
Yep.
This is the second
It was
half.
late in the game.
Could have been a great way to try to finish it, that game.
But do you honestly think about it often? What might have happened? What might have led on from a goal against Italy?
Not too often, Every now and again, someone will bring up a video of it and show it.
Like we just have. Yeah.
No, it was a tremendous game, that game. Yeah.
Siggy, I thought it was in at home. It ruffles the side of the net, even off the back of all those kind of amazing moments he had already. Not even 180 minutes played at the World Cup. Did you think that might have been the second time you'd gone ahead against Italy?
Well, I just remember because Ivan, you got pushed into sort of holding midfielder, and it was kind of out of character from to be so far up the field.
Especially in that
I reckon
tournament.
that's why he
Nosebleed
can't
territory.
sleep, because he's like, man, what am I doing up here?
Especially in that tournament, not being a corner, yeah.
Oh, I love it. So Boxy did say, gents, that this generation will largely be defined on what they do at the tournament, not necessarily qualifying for it, which I think's, you can accept that, but it's an interesting comment. Based on what you guys witnessed, what you experienced at the World Cup, what do they have to prepare themselves for? What was the change between A-League football, as an example, Siggy, and qualifying, and then going into the furnace of the World Cup?
It's a good question. They're all playing at a really high level, and they're good standards, and they're probably playing a lot higher than we ever were. Most of us were in the A-League. If not, there was a few in Europe, obviously. I would say it'll be that camaraderie. It'll be that working hard for each other. It'll be, Ryan Nelson always said something really special to us as a group, and he always said, look, off camera, when you're playing, the cameras don't see you make it, track back and make a beautiful tackle or make a run up to the, into the edge of the box and trying to score. And it really hit home for us. And, for me, I think this will be what will bring this team together, and it will be those extra things. Technically, they're gifted, but it'll be, can we really work hard for this shirt and just dig deep? Because those little 1% moments will be where the opportunity comes for them to create history again, and I really hope they do.
So the deeds of the All Whites back then got them into the Hallberg Awards categories, right? And a number of you were invited. Is that correct, Ben?
I got a good story about that actually.
Yeah. Does it involve Tim Brown and a meal that you may or may not have eaten?
Not one that's, shall we say, consistent with the typical diet of a Cantabrian?
Oh yeah, that was actually nasty. That was, yes, yeah. You know, so I'll tell that story just so everyone knows. So I went off to the toilet. We sat down, and Tim Brown, I didn't know, had said to the waitress, "Look, can you make sure this guy gets?" I think it was. I can't remember what it was, but he said he doesn't eat meat, vegetarian, whatever. And anyway, the food started coming out, and everyone was getting all these beautiful steaks, I think it was, or something. And then I got this vegetarian meal, but I thought it was every second meal. You know how they come out, and every now and then it's every second meal. So I thought, I'll just have to deal with it. But it was just me that got this vegetarian meal, and Mahi Drysdale, the rower, was there, and he just thought it was hilarious. But the other thing that happened was...
What? Hang on, did you eat it? Did you eat it? Yeah.
I took it like a man, and I just,
Well
didn't
done.
let him have too much time in the sun. But the next thing is we obviously won the award. I think it was a team award or something. I can't remember what the actual award was. But actually, Tim and I took the big, the big award home. And anyway, we got home, had a good night, and I woke up, and I'm like, oh my God, it's gone. Like someone has been into our room and stolen it, or something's happened. I'm like, oh no. And I'm like, Brownie, it's the award, it's gone. Where is it? And anyway, he pulls his duvet back, and he had slept with it. And he goes, is this what you're looking for? And it was in his bed.
Was the trophy sort of like shying away from him? Like, please leave me alone, stop touching me.
Spoon, yeah.
I think he was spooning it. I'm not really sure. I can't remember that detail, but I was just like, mate, you freaked me out. And you... Anyway.
And there's a wonderful story, and I want you to tell it, mate, which is where the All Whites did a tour of South America, but you didn't quite make it home.
Early in my career, on my first ever trip to South America, I had my debut against Uruguay. It took us 99 hours to get back to New Zealand. That was
99 hours?
99.
You've been counting them.
That was the story at the time, but it was unfortunate. I think we played Uruguay. We drew with them 1-1 or 2-2, which was an incredible result for New Zealand. About 5 days earlier, we'd lost 5-6 or 7-0 against some incredible players, Fonseca, these top players that are of that generation. So we got out there again. We drew with them 2-2, and I remember after the game, they wouldn't shake hands with us. They were upset. They got into the bus and they went out and had a training session. The whole crowd is just booing them, everything. It was absolute chaos. We get into this bus, 15-hour bus trip to an airport, and
In Uruguay still?
somewhere out of Uruguay, I think.
Okay.
15 hours is a long trip. As they're playing, in the journey, technical issues come over the speaker. We have a little stopover at Easter Island.
What is it with planes and the All Whites and games
sure.
they're playing?
It's a great place, Easter Island.
Yes.
It's a good place to visit if you can. If you want to visit it, then we get off again
Yeah.
and end up landing in Tahiti. We spent a day there in a resort because
Oh, lovely.
Beautiful.
could not connect to
Could
New
be
Zealand.
worse. Could be worse.
So, and then we eventually make it back to New Zealand. So it was about 90, 94, 96, 99 hours, something like that. So it was an incredible travel journey that we've had in the past year. I don't think Siggy was on that one. It was far too
No.
young.
You missed the Tahitian resort, did you, Siggy?
Nah.
I think there was a
Didn't
night
get
when I was
that one.
16, mate.
I think I might have been injured, or it might have been before my time.
That one was before your time, yeah.
You may have missed the Tahitian resort, but I'll tell you who you didn't miss. The player from UAE all those years ago.
Oh, Ben Sigmund, that is awful. That is awful, Ben Sigmund. And I have no doubt at all. The first kick here may well have resulted in a yellow, but look at this.
Yeah, that was a bit of that. It's not funny, but my boy obviously Googled me going back a few years, and that's the first thing that pops up. And he's never really asked me, but he finally had enough courage to say, what happened and why'd you do it, and you know, it's not very nice when the first thing you put in is Ben Sigmund and that pops up, you know. So, but that was a bit of a hangover from the World Cup. I didn't obviously play at the World Cup. Didn't have any minutes leading in. I played every World Cup qualifier, and unfortunately, and it is probably just football looking back, but you know, Tommy Smith came into the All Whites, Winston Reid, and then obviously Ryan Nelson was still playing. So, you know, I was up against those guys to try and start at the World Cup, and didn't play a single minute. And you know, that was probably my worst. You know, my career. You know, that was just one of my low points of my career. And we then went away to that tour, and I played the first game, and I can't remember who we played, and you know, everything went pretty well. And then the second game, which was that game, I got dropped again, and I guess that there was just the World Cup kind of thing came over in my head, and so leading into the game, my head was gone. I didn't even really warm up. Like, I was really just gone. I remember just sort of walking around, sort of just in my own little world, and my wife spoke to me before the game and said, "You need to be real careful because you're not in a good place." And I was like, I'll be fine. And literally, like, that had nothing to do with the player that I was up against. It was nothing to do with anyone. It was literally where my head was at, and I was just in a bad place. And you know, I don't even know why I did it. I honestly couldn't even tell you, because the player or anything to do with him, there was nothing going on. It was just, I was in a dark place, and it was literally, I think, just the build up, and I hadn't dealt with not playing at the World Cup, and those memories and those feelings all came back when I got dropped again. Yeah, it was just a really bad place of where I was.
I mean, obviously, that wasn't a great moment for Siggy or for New Zealand, you know, and he dealt with that well, I think, afterwards, and it helped grow him as a person in the work that he does. You know, there's always low points. I mean, you don't play every minute. You have issues. You know, you tear a hamstring before you got to play AC Milan, things like that. You know, it disappoints you, but you know, it's how you deal with it, how you grow as a person. We see it all the time on TV, and I mean, now you see it on social media more than ever. Little things that happen to players, or they do out of line, but you know, it's how you can grow as a player and as a person, and get better at what you do.
Siggy, was that one of the moments where you kind of started doing a bit of self-reflection and looking at why you reacted that way? Because I know that you're doing a lot of work with players, rugby players, some footballers, and we've even had some conversations in the past where you started looking into the mental side of the game as much as anything.
Yeah. So I actually started a life coaching course, and just started looking into, you know, how I can better myself to be able to deal with the disappointments and letdowns. And I guess some people, like probably Ivan's a good example of, you know, you were always pretty grounded, and you know, there was probably never too many highs or lows. You kind of just stayed level keel, and I think that's probably where you need to try and be as a player. So you don't get too high and you don't get too low, and you just ride it out. And I guess I've learnt that it's just part of sport, and it's everyone's dealing with it in some capacity. Some people have amazing careers. I always look at Richie McCaw and go, well, he was probably the pinnacle of winning World Cups and all these things. But then there's other players, you know, even top All Blacks that never won a World Cup, you know, and all those types of things. So we're all kind of dealing with it. But yeah, I certainly dug in and had to really take a really good look at myself around that, you know. But you know, the biggest thing for me and the biggest learning was, and the hardest thing for me was, that was when social media was coming, when it was really just starting to hit. And someone said to me, "Oh, it's exploding on Facebook, you know, you're getting absolutely slaughtered." And I went, "Oh, nah, I'll be all right." Jumped on the plane, flew home, and I had the media chasing me to find me. I had Facebook blowing up. My wife was in tears. Mum and Dad couldn't sleep because I was getting slaughtered. I then somehow managed to miss all the media coming home. They didn't know when I arrived. I got home, you know, to home base, and then I was like, shit, what am I going to do? I was like, I've got to own this. And I think that was probably the best thing I ever did was, I didn't look for excuses, I didn't blame anyone, I took full responsibility, and I said sorry, and you know, like, owning it was probably where everyone went, look, yeah, we all make mistakes, give them a chance, let them move on, and it sort of worked out quite well for me. But I think if I tried to fight it and look for excuses or reasons why, then I think it could have given it more legs, you know. And then the other thing is, and I'd hope that things have changed now, is I actually had to like text all the media and actually organise my own media conference. And so, you know, you'd hope now that.
Why was that?
You know, like, so I had to say, I'll meet you at the
That's like
Phoenix.
organising your own funeral, Siggy, to a certain
Mate, I
extent.
literally had to go, I'll meet you at the Phoenix headquarters at 10 o'clock. I'll address the media and I'll, you know, make sure we put this right. You know, so there was no New Zealand football, there was no Phoenix, there was no nothing. And I'm sitting there in this big ball of media with big cameras and all the things around me, and I'm just going, look, I'm really sorry. Like, I literally had to do the whole lot of that on my own and kind of deal with it. And I'd like to think the game's come a long way now, that you'd at least be wrapped around, given support, your media managers running around doing it all and saying, hey, look, what do we need for you? You know, like, it was brutal.
Well done for organising your own media conference, but more importantly, well done for front-footing it and owning up to it and taking that approach, because I know that a lot of other players would probably just go, whatever, and just move on. Like, it's actually an opportunity for personal development and growth. So my hat's off to you, Siggy. Well done, mate, on that occasion. Look, can we focus more domestically now? Because this season in the A-League has been epic for Auckland FC. The Black Knights have come in, hit the ground running. That's an understatement. They're top of the league and they're doing so well. But for your old team, Siggy, the Wellington Phoenix, they've gone from the penthouse to almost the outhouse on the back of what was their best ever season last campaign. This season has been underwhelming for a variety of reasons. So as a former Wellington Phoenix stalwart, how do we fix the Knicks so that they can get into the six and still make something of this season?
I look at the team, like, even just the game they just played against Brisbane. You look at it and you go, well, one thing that's good about it is that there's a lot of young New Zealand kids coming through, and they've developed through the academy, and we probably got to kind of pat the Phoenix on the back there and go, well, at least we're developing young New Zealanders. On the flip side of it, we've lost the players that went last year that got snapped up because they did well last year. So there's a big chunk of your team gone. And then, you know, now they've, released David Ball, and I think they're looking to release a couple of others to then start, bringing in some depth and I guess some real key foreign players to strengthen it up, to get it probably core where they can go on attack a bit more and, stop conceding some silly little goals. But in general, I don't want to put them down, because I think they've been doing great things, and they did great things last year, and they've just been beaten up a little bit with the players they've lost. And let's hope that they can bring in a couple more key foreign players and see where it takes them. It's hard with the young New Zealand boys, because I think they've been chucked in the deep end a little bit around, sink or swim, because it is a big step up from playing National League to go into play A-League, and I think we forget that. And they've got to get some games under their belt to be able to deal with it, and we'll see where they're at the end of the season.
We've talked about the players that have gone there, and Siggy was mentioning the kind of the byproducts of success, but equally, what is it like to not have a player like Alex Ruffin or Tim Payne, the senior Kiwi leaders, and have them absent for such a long period this season?
Yeah, I think it's very difficult. I think what Siggy said about those players leaving that were there last year, it does have a big effect on the team. They had great results last year, obviously a very good season. But when I look back this year and last year, they played some good football. This year they've been playing some good football. But these moments where last year they would win a game 1-0 or they would hold on and get a result, this year potentially that ball is going in and the result is turning to more the negative side. So it's not that they're playing bad football or anything, it's just these moments in the game can change it. And I look back to last year, and a lot of times against some good teams, they manage to get that result or hold on to that result, where it's not quite happening this year. And then when it doesn't happen, you miss a Rufa or a Tim Payne to try to get you through those final moments, you know. But I mean, this year they've played some good football as well, but it's in those moments that they suffer, and hopefully there's still time to turn it around.
The third derby's on February 22nd, sorry. Obviously, the Black Knights 2-0 up in that 3-match series. What needs to happen for the Wellington Phoenix to get on the scoreboard in that little series?
Yeah, it's been a good first 2 games of that series, you know. I mean, Auckland started off flying. Obviously, we all know that. Really doing well. I just think their momentum's with them at the moment. They're so many results in the last 3 or 4 minutes of the game. It's incredible, you know. And but yeah, if they can get those players fit again for that game and come out strong again, the Wellington Phoenix, then it's going to be another top game. I mean, I thought the last game was a good game, but you know, Auckland just too strong.
I was going to mention it, and Ivan, you're bang on around those. I think those key mistakes, those key moments where they're just conceding late, or like they've conceded so many goals where it's just been a basic mistake, a handball in the box for a penalty or a bad tackle, you know, whatever it might be. But I'd love to see the Phoenix have a bit more of a crack. I feel like they're just happy consolidating, sitting back, whereas I'd love them to just come out of the blocks, shut everything down, push really hard up high, make mistakes in Auckland, you know, just those little things where I feel they've just sort of a bit happier just consolidating, whereas, you know, go up to Auckland, have a go, see what they can do, and, you know, maybe nick a goal or something and just put Auckland on the back foot. So that would be the only thing I'd be saying. And look, yeah, they're definitely not the favourite, the Phoenix, but it's still a good team, and they can come out, and I reckon they could have a good crack up there.
Not a bad place to be, is it, G?
Yeah, and
playing
they're
with
only,
house money.
5 or 6 points out of the 6, and there's still a long way to go. So, tough run over the next 4 games. I think they've got Victory away, which is a graveyard at Amy Park. Obviously, the Auckland Derby. Do they play Melbourne City in that run as well?
Yep.
So, yeah, tough times ahead. But, look, in Chiefy we trust, and hopefully we can find a way out of it, us Wellington Phoenix fans. Siggy, great to see you, mate. Thanks so much for taking the time to hang out with the Unused Subs, and maybe we'll catch you for that derby, the third derby up in Auckland,
absolutely. Get along to Tyler Street, mate. Make yourself popular with the port. See you, mate.
See you later, eh? Take care.
And here's your starting 11.
Crack straight into it, G.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, Ive, starting 11. First up, what is the worst ground you've had to travel to? You can say Fred Taylor Park, mate. No one's going to judge it.
Nah, it's really good. Really good at the moment, actually, being done up. Probably snow-covered Groningen in the Netherlands, away game.
Yeah.
Playing in snow. It's not easy.
Cold and icy, huh?
Can't imagine.
Cold, icy.
What was your pre-match meal?
Pre-match meal was chicken and rice or tuna and rice. Oof. Religiously,
Never changed, huh?
always had to have it. Yep.
Straight down the line.
Don't know if it helped, but it's good.
Must have.
All White's roommate.
Roomie, final years I think was Mossy.
Oh,
Goalkeeper.
good roommate.
Yeah.
Low key. Low maintenance.
Yeah, low key. Very good. Top guy. Top guy.
Golf handicap, mate?
No idea. Love golf on the range, but don't really play it much.
What was your first club, mate?
Massey AFC.
Are they still around?
They're not black and white stripes like Juventus.
Oh,
Or have they been like sucked up by another club, an amalgamation or something?
Yes, with Waitakere City back then.
now West Coast Rangers.
Yeah, right.
What is the place that you wanted to go back to or you've been back to after you finished playing?
In my head or in real life?
Doesn't matter, mate.
Been
This
back to,
comes from Jonathan Gould. Jonathan Gould always said, keep a list of the places that you want to go back to that you've only been there. And the idea is that you've only played in a stadium, you've only played on a training ground, and you've done a hotel room, but you want to go out and experience it.
Okay. Yeah, another good heads up, that one.
It's great being stuck between two Croatians.
No comment. Yeah.
No.
He does this all the time, just a massive stitch-up, eh? Come on, Spoon, sort it out.
Favourite non-football athlete?
Surely it's a guy who held a tennis racket.
Probably Goran Vicelich.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah.
You know, to be a wild card and to win Wimbledon, I mean,
Outrageous,
and then to
eh?
shut the city down and split.
Oh,
And
really?
a fabulous name.
Unbelievable.
A fabulous name as
It
well.
just rolls off the tongue, doesn't
Yeah.
it?
That's where you needed that video. The guy not pronouncing his name right. Oh, it's the greatest video ever.
What is the movie that you want to go back and watch for the first time?
Godfather.
There we go. There we go. And the team you supported growing up?
AC Milan.
Oof, good team. What is the worst injury that you've had?
Worst injury, apart from breaking the nose 4 times, I think,
Same as me, mate.
yeah, 3 one way and then 1 the other, so straightened it.
Oh, good.
That was pretty
Nice.
good. Well, people tell me it's straightened, not sure.
I think it looks fantastic.
Probably a hamstring, as I may have mentioned earlier, just prior to a home and away European game. Hamstring tear.
Hamstring tear. Oh, against just before you had to play AC Milan.
Yes.
Oh, boyhood dream.
So
Right.
not a bad injury, but bad timing injury.
Right. Last one. Coffee order. What's your coffee order?
Long black, milk on the side.
That's the first time. That's a healthy one. That's a healthy option, G.
Bookend it.
And here's your starting 11.
In a Auckland rep trial long time ago, Danny Donegan.
Yes.
You remember the
Yeah.
name, Danny Donegan? He was in the opposition team. We were down to like the last, let's say, 24 people before they whittle it down to the actual squad that was going to go to the national tournament. The game kicks off, and Danny Donegan runs into me, basically forehead into my nose, and my nose was like that, like an arrow. And I went into the changing sheds, and there's just blood all over my shirt. My nose is stuffed. Got the worst advice ever: don't touch your nose. And I'm like, but is it going to set? No, you go to the A&E at some point, see a doctor, and they'll figure it out. Nah. So for a year and a half, my nose was just like that, trying to go through 6th form, 7th form at Edgewater College and just being a laughing stock with a massive broken nose
But then they have
was the worst period of my life.
They have to re-break it. That's the thing that...
Yeah, but when it's broken,
I
it's
know.
soft. I should have really just tried to manipulate it
Exactly.
myself, but I got the worst advice ever. And yeah, that was probably my worst ever injury, because I did not have any luck with the ladies after that. Yeah,
Not even with the long blonde hair, man.
no. Do you want to do the old...
Oh,
Yeah.
it's in off the post.
And this week, in Off the Post, comes to us from Robbie Feldman.
Hey lads, love the show. Keep up the great work on the pod. My question is about the derby. Having just seen one of the best Sydney derbies in recent times, if not ever, do you think Auckland-Wellington could surpass that and become the best fixture in the A-League? How long would it take? What do you think it would take? Cheers.
It probably needs a few more red cards and a few more niggles to
Needs
go
some more
along,
moments,
just
doesn't
something
it?
in there,
Yeah.
which is not going to happen overnight, but a few more
Towards the end of the
games.
second one, Alex Rufer got quite physical, didn't he?
Yep.
And the first, yeah.
He's just a physical character.
Bit more
No,
than
but yeah, I agree with Ive. I think for it to be its own history, to stand on its own 2 feet, like, it's exciting at the moment, but you need moments. Those are the things that define those sort of fixtures. The last-minute goals, the sending-offs, the handballs, or whatever it might be. I think we need to build our catalogue out a little bit.
I mean, the good thing is the crowds have been great. I mean,
Yeah.
the crowd in Auckland has been tremendous. So, you've got that atmosphere there already. But just maybe a little bit of extra niggle would help in the long run.
Just found somebody else in the mailbag. Let's have a look. Who's this?
Hey guys, Vidget here. Loving the show. Keep up the good work. Question regarding goalkeepers. Admire their, tenacity, admire all their skill they have between the sticks.
yeah.
But got to ask, what goes through their head when they decide they want to become an outfield player mid-game? Case in point, Jacob Spoonley versus Hawke's Bay. Anyway, keep it up, guys. Let's go, Burko.
What does go through the head of a goalkeeper playing for Auckland City FC and game pretty much in hand, and you think, well, he's just going to charge out on the angle
He's obsessed.
and
This is-
shut the play down?
This was in 2 parts. They hadn't scored another goal. We had like 90% possession for that game and couldn't score, so we're 1-0. Buffer's too small. Also, I've been over this many times, the field that day was a piece of shit.
Oh,
And I have tripped on the way out. Low margin, last man, get caught out, and then unbelievable finish from the touchline.
I'm not sure I've seen that video.
Yeah.
Have you not seen the video?
No, I have many times.
I thought you were just sort of like spurring me
I think
on.
it's a really good reminder for goalkeepers.
Oh, really? Yeah, okay.
Potentially, when they're at the back, they think, all the guys have got heaps of time on the ball on that, and they try it a little bit, and then they suffer. Unfortunately.
Look, it's taken 5 episodes for somebody to finally ask that question.
Oh, that feels orchestrated. That feels engineered. I'll be honest.
Maybe it was, Spoon. Maybe it was.
Mate, we should get out of here because the Super Bowl's about to kick off and Tyler Street is starting to hum, which you probably heard in the background. So how about we see everyone next week?
Sounds like a great idea.
Nice.
Let's do that.
Cheers, Ive.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ive. Great to see you, mate.